Right.
No. Okay. Apologies for that. Just for the record, we did call to order at 7:03. We were in public comment at this point. The 10 minutes of public comment, though, are over. If anyone else wishes to speak, we need to extend that time. Otherwise, we're going to move on to the agenda.
Yeah, I did have something else to say, but this is one of those times when, I feel intimidated from wanting to say it, that people are going to be like, oh, you're wasting time,
Were you moving to extend time for general comment? Let's call it.
I don't know. Like I said, it has a chilling effect when you sort of make these comments like, oh, people are, saying there's too much time wasted. I don't know, people would consider this a waste of time. I just,
Perhaps for what purpose? Maybe people.
Well, I wanted to speak in favor of a in-person meeting at the convention that's an actual working meeting, because I think that's when general party members are paying attention. I think, without laying blame on anyone in particular, I think, we still don't have a good functioning system in terms of notifying people of committee meetings like this committee's. And I think more people may be interested, judging by all the people who filled out the survey, than are reflected by the attendance that we've had from non-committee members.
So, Chad, there is a meeting scheduled for the convention, and it is up to the committee whether it's working or not. What I assume by working, you mean that there's a possibility for proposals being changed, perfected, or potential even new ones?
Yes, that's what I mean, correct.
That's entirely up to the committee. There is an in-person meeting scheduled the day before. I believe it's on Thursday. We could look up yes. So
it is Thursday.
Yeah, the nature of that meeting is going to be entirely up to this committee.
Yeah, well, that's what I was trying to weigh in on. Yeah, but I think it's important for the members to have the opportunity to actually weigh in directly at the time when most of them are more likely to be paying attention. They're there in person and get to interact with us in person, and their attention is on Libertarian Party stuff because that's what they're doing there that weekend.
Yeah, I can tell you what my intention was, Starchild, and also the committee, in case they wish to move differently, was that our meeting would be primarily, how do I word this? Kind of a mixture of a town hall with a regular meeting. So we would hear from members for longer periods of time than we normally would. And if committee members wish to make motions based upon what they heard from the members, that would be in order. That's kind of my intention for that meeting. But of course, the committee can direct otherwise.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, Starchild. We are moving on to the agenda. The first item on the agenda is.
I had in chat a couple of motions to modify the agenda before we adopt that.
Okay, we'll hear your first motion.
I want to move to on the space exploration plank. I know we talked about this and I believe it was popular, but somehow it didn't make it into the survey. And I don't, getting lost in the details of how that happened, I don't know, but changing the words use of to activities in before outer space, it's just a one sentence plank, and those two words I think would be an improvement that we could hopefully deal with pretty quickly. If somebody wants to call the question right away, I don't object to that.
We're not allowed to call questions on committees, just an FYI.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, to terminate debate anyway. Then do you want me to tell you what the other one is now, or do you want to address that?
No, we're going to do them one at a time.
Okay.
Originally, I can tell you my intention was to rule any amendment to the agenda dilatory. However, I would like to see what the mood of the committee is. So I am going to allow this motion, and we'll see where things go from there. So there's a motion on the floor to amend the agenda to reconsider. We are going to need, however, the secretary. Okay, Star Child, crap. In order to move this along and so that the secretary doesn't have to do a ton of work. I don't know if you were on the winning or losing side of that motion, Star Child. I don't think you voted in that email thread. Do you know that quickly, Mr. Secretary?
I kind of don't think I voted in the email thread either. I
I don't
remember
think
us
you did.
discussing it. I think I may not have voted because I was waiting for the other wording to come up and I wanted to vote for that wording, but it never did come up.
Mr. Secretary, do you know quickly if Star Child voted in that email thread?
No, he didn't. I'm getting it on the screen right now.
Okay, no, you don't need to. It's in order for Star Child to move to reconsider because he was not on the losing side. So where we are at right now is a motion to reconsider the wording of the space exploration plank. This is a debatable motion, and debate can go into the merits of the proposed changes that Star Child had stuck in chat. I believe you spoke to that already. Did you wish to speak further, Star Child?
No, that's okay. I mean, if people have questions, they can ask me. But the point was also made about not repeating arguments already made. So
Thank you, Star Child. I believe Mr. Cholko had his hand up first, then Mr. Taylor.
Yeah, I just want to get clear here. What we're talking about doing is renaming the plank. Is that correct?
No, Mr.
No.
Cholko. Star Child, I'll let you explain.
this would be just to substitute the two words activities in for what's in there now, which is use of. So we'd say voluntary activities in outer space as opposed to saying voluntary use of outer space.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
But I would say I think the motion, though, on the floor is to whether or not we are reconsidering this platform plank.
Correct. Now, let me explain the implications of this. If we reconsider it, there is a chance, because it opens it up as if it were made anew, which means the committee can vote the whole entire thing down. You can also change the title once we decide to reconsider. It's like it's being proposed brand new. What we are on right now.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Starchild?
If it's an order, my proposal is simply to reconsider for purposes of making this one specific change, not opening the whole thing. I think that could involve a lot more time. I mean, if people had other things they want to move separately, I might support that, but that's not my motion. I'm not trying to move to open the whole plank.
That unfortunately is the only option you have. Reconsidering the proposal is reconsidering the proposal.
Does it have to be done as a reconsideration? I wasn't even initially attending that. That was the word you used for the motion.
Yes, I was giving it the proper parliamentary word. It has to be reconsidered. It's already been voted on by the committee. The only way you can redo a decision is through reconsideration, and the implication of reconsideration, and it's part of Roberts to kind of discourage reconsideration, is that it opens it up brand new. The same thing happened with the gender autonomy plank. So, Mr. Cholko, did that answer your question?
It did, yes. Can I also speak to this?
Yes, sir.
All right. I think I'm going to vote in favor of adding this to the agenda, mostly because I want to rename the plank. And in terms of it getting voted down, I get that that's possible, but I would remind everybody that it was pretty damn popular in the survey. So I hope we're not going to go that route or play with it very much.
Mr. Cholko, you just brought up an interesting mistake I made. I skipped a step, and I'm going to ask the committee how they wish to remediate this. Technically, we do have to add the reconsideration to the agenda before we do the reconsideration. I jumped immediately into the reconsideration, assuming that it was already added to the agenda. Let me ask the committee, is there an objection to adding this to the agenda?
Yes.
I object.
Yes, objection.
Okay, so my apologies, Star Child. Thank you, Mr. Choco, even though that wasn't your intent to point out my mistake. Your question showed me we skipped a step. So first, we need to move to add the reconsideration to the agenda. Once it's added to the agenda, we can reconsider. I believe Star Child has spoken to why he believes it needs to be added to the agenda, but because it was kind of focused on reconsideration before, I'll give you another opportunity to speak, Star Child, if you wish, or if you believe you've already made the arguments to add it to the agenda.
Well, I guess I'll just try to summarize it really quickly. It's basically, if we say use of, then we're kind of talking about all of space in terms of property, where there's actually a good likelihood that there is other intelligent life out there that may have its own property. And we wouldn't want to just sort of say, well, that falls under the category of use. Activities is more neutral, that anything voluntary should be allowed as here on Earth. And also activities is broader, like something like, the keeping and bearing arms, for example, might not be considered a use of space, but it would be an activity taking place in space. And so this would offer stronger protection to that kind of thing that's not necessarily seen as a use. But
Thank
it's
you.
voluntary.
Thank you, Star Child. That technically wasn't an argument to add it to the agenda, but I get what you were trying to say. And I don't think we need to be technical. I think everyone understood. That's the argument for why you think it's important. And that also bolsters your argument to add it to the agenda. Mr. Taylor, then Mr. Alvstad, then Mr. Secretary.
I like the space exploration plank as it is. I also don't mind Star Child's amendment. I think it's fine. I even, in some ways, like it a little bit better. However, I'm not sure that reopening this at this time is the best option that we want to focus on as a committee. I'm not sure either changing the name or changing, the wording based upon Star Child's language is going to cause the plank to be more popular after reading a few of the comments. So I'm not sure I'm going to vote for adding this to the agenda.
Mr. Alvstad.
But yeah, I just wanted to support adding it to the agenda. Not really making a statement about the merit of the proposal, but I think it's obviously something that's on everyone's mind, the title as well. And I think we all appreciate that it's we've got to go quickly, and that we're not going to let ourselves get bogged down in a bunch of minuscule changes. We've just got the title and this one change, and we can probably handle that very quickly.
Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You had mentioned that you would rule any additions to the agenda dilatory. Is this the time right now is it in order to say that?
I had prefaced right after Star Child's motion saying that that was my intention. After hearing some of the public comment from the committee members, I decided that I was not going to do that and get the sense of the agenda. A sense of the committee through at least this initial motion to add to the agenda. So I declined to rule it dilatory.
Okay, so then there's no appeal from the ruling of the chair then in my situation.
You
So
could raise a point of order to say it's dilatory. I could say your point of order is not well taken, and then you can appeal. However, I do think that will take a great deal of time.
exactly. So I'm just going to say that I don't support this. And I hope the rest of the committee recognizes that we have things to do. We're putting a bow tie on a report and looking a stamp on it and sending it.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Cholka.
Is it theoretically possible, if email ballots started now, that this could be done, the changes could be done in time to be included in our report via email?
Yes. There would need to be 2 concurrent email ballots, one to reconsider and one to change the language. The one to change the language would be moot if the one to reconsider doesn't pass, but they could run concurrently. And we could assume in our ordering discussions that this plank will be there and the placeholder is just for the final wording. So the short answer is yes. The longer answer gave the technicalities.
Thank you.
Mr. Alvstead, your hand was still up. I don't know if that was an artifact. Okay. Anyone else on the motion to amend the agenda? I know there is objection. So, Mr. Secretary, a roll call vote to amend the agenda.
Yes, Gary Elstead,
Aye.
Mark Raymond,
Abstain.
Ted Brown,
Nay.
Matt Choco,
Aye.
Sean Hickman,
Nay.
Ken Matz,
Nay. No.
Josh McHose,
Nay.
Omar Crowe votes nay, Mike Seebeck,
No.
Darchild,
Aye.
Curry Taylor,
Abstain.
John Thompson.
Nay.
Okay, did I miss anyone? I'll bring this on the screen. Come on. Madam Chair, I am showing 3 in favor, 7 opposed, and 2 express abstentions at 9:30.
That does not pass. I am taking this as the will of the committee. Starchild, did you have another motion to amend the agenda? This one did not pass.
Yes, and I appreciate the suggestion about doing things by email. I just want to, the intention of the second one is, it's a bit time sensitive in terms of, trying to preclude something being, a decision being made to, that would make it impossible. And that is, I want to move to do another data collection of information from the survey. There was nothing in the introduction to the survey saying when people needed to have it in by. And
Starchild, what is your
think
motion to amend the agenda?
it's to vote to have another download of the survey data so that we don't disenfranchise people who took the time to fill it out, but didn't send it in before the arbitrary deadline that was not mentioned in the survey introduction.
Okay, I'm taking my cue from the last vote and I am ruling your motion to amend the agenda to be dilatory. Do you wish to appeal the ruling of the chair?
Yes, because I don't know how else we can do it unless you, if you agree.
Okay, Starchild, so you're appealing from the ruling of the chair?
Yes, and unless you're willing to just do it, and then
No,
I guess
I
we don't have
said
to have a
I'm
vote
ruling
on
this
it. But
dilatory. So I'm asking if you're appealing from the ruling of the chair.
yeah, unless you're willing to just take the step
I
without
am not.
a vote. Okay,
I said that last meeting.
I know. I thought maybe you might have changed your mind.
No, the deadline was clearly in the email. All right, so there's been an appeal from the ruling of the chair. The ruling of the chair was that the motion to amend the agenda was dilatory. In an appeal from the ruling of the chair gets to speak first and last. Anyone else can speak once. So I'm going to take my opportunity to speak now. We've been very generous with the way we've amended the agenda. There's probably other points of order that could be raised that there wasn't sufficient notice. Been very, very lax on this sort of thing. I believe the committee has spoken with the last vote, which was a bellwether for me.
This is a totally different issue.
Starchild, this is my time to speak. You'll be able to speak afterwards. I'm just trying to gather my words a little bit. COVID fog is real. The fact that we have a deadline for this report and the job of this committee is not to produce a survey, is not to make all of these examples of this information and make statements about, well, if somebody missed a deadline or this or that. We are moving far afield from the purpose of this committee. In moving far afield from the purpose of this committee with these motions that could be taken up without my permission on the email list, we are going to end up costing this party extra money by having a late report. So It is my duty to keep this committee on track to what our job is, which is to produce a platform committee report, and if at all possible, to not cause the party to have to spend more money. Star Child.
Was there someone else who wanted to speak? I see a hand up.
Mr. Brayman did. Normally, the person who appealed could go immediately after the chair, but if you wish to wait, that's your prerogative.
Yeah, Mark can go ahead.
Mr. Brayman.
Yes, the deadline was very clear in all the information I was telling people right and left over the 4-5 days that they had only that amount of time to give it. This is also unnecessary because we have a very statistically significant sampling of the greater population. It's not clear what would be added by having a couple more responses. And finally, it's a burden on the chair to have to do this again. And I think it's particularly unfair for the committee to ask the chair to do such a thing, which is why I will uphold the ruling of the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Brayman. Would anyone else like, I know Star Child wants to speak, but would anyone else like to speak? Okay, Star Child, you are
Okay.
it.
This would not have to take place before the report. I know we have a deadline with that. I just want the information downloaded at some point so we can get that input and let people have their, it's not just for our input. It's so that everybody, you know, in the party can see what the results were from as many people as possible. And some of us specifically wanted to include personal information, so we'd have that level of
Star Child,
accountability.
we are not going to
So,
revisit that argument, please. Continue.
It's very difficult, Madam Chair, to make my argument if you don't let me make my argument.
Because I'm ruling certain things where you're keeping revisiting some issues that I understand and I appreciate and respect are very important to you, but the committee has already made a decision on, and I have to respect the committee's time. So I'm going to ask that you.
Well, it
stop
could again be
revisiting
done, as long as
yeah.
you don't take the survey down or something. We could do this over email and not have to take the time right now. I didn't want to, you know, have something happen that would preclude us being able to collect that information later.
Even the 2018 survey is still live, technically. I have no intention of
Okay.
taking the survey down.
Okay, well, you know, if it's going to be up, then why don't we, if I can withdraw my motion, I'll just, you know, do it on email or you know, try to, and I'm happy to personally volunteer to help with any labor involved, you know, as far as downloading or whatnot. I think it'd be good for more people to have those abilities anyway, and have a farm team of people that know how to do some of these things instead of just putting it all on one person.
Star Child, you have refused to sign the NDA, and the
No, I haven't actually.
well, so far, the NDA that National requires, they do not have specific NDAs. They have the one, and the way the SurveyMonkey account works with National, only, it's a pain in the booty. Only one person can have access at a time. I'm the only person that's allowed access into it. And each time I have to do that, I have to take access away from Robert Kraus, and it involves multiple people having to do two-factor authentications. What you are asking is really impinging upon multiple people's time. It's not a matter.
Well, we can have this discussion by email. I don't need all this
Is
right
there
now.
an objection to Star Child withdrawing his appeal from the ruling of the chair? Hearing none, we will move to the agenda. I am going to give a point of information. I'm using it the wrong way. I am going to give some information to the committee. The timeline has been published at the beginning of each agenda since the start of this committee. And for over a month, the final report due has been May 1st. Survey deadline was actually listed as April 22nd, not April 24th. The committee has been well aware of this. That is, just wanted to put that up there. I've gone out of my way to make my plans to the committee known. We are going to continue with the agenda, which is review survey, going in order from proposal A forward. what would be in order under this agenda item. And I do see your hand, Mr. Brayman. I'll call upon you once I just finish. Oh,
I'm
okay.
sorry.
That's
Remove
okay.
it.
So what would be in order as we go from proposal A forward is motions related to combining or deleting proposals based upon the survey feedback, and motions related to amendments or reconsiderations that are directly tied to member feedback. So I would ask the secretary to pull up that big document.
What about mistakes in the language?
I will judge each of those on a case-by-case basis. So if we could pull up the language for proposal A. I mean, the survey data, Mr. Secretary. Am I just not seeing it? Is it up for everybody but me?
Oh, I think Omar actually disconnected. somehow.
Okay,
Yeah,
hold
we
on.
I
lost
don't
him
see him
again.
here. Yeah, I don't see him here.
Stand by a second, he'll be back.
Because it makes it so difficult when I have to do it because my computer hides everything else. Let's give him one moment to see if he,
Say that's the issue with having a Mac there.
oof, ouch. Okay, our secretary is not here. I am not going to delay things. He can take over. In the meantime, just knowing that I can't see you, I get these little flashes across the screen that let me know when somebody's hand is raised. But if I don't call upon you, just politely grab my attention. It's not intentional. I will pull up the survey.
Omar just returned.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Secretary, can you hear me?
Yes.
If you could please share the survey. We're going to start with proposal A.
Okay. I was gonna ask you if that was something that you wanted to do.
I actually would prefer you do it because of the way it makes it very difficult for me to manage the room
Right.
when I'm also sharing.
No problem. Let me see if I can do this. Nope, it's not letting me do it the way I want to do it. Right. I just gotta scroll all the way up. And this thing is long. All right. Let me know where you want to be. If I'm
Proposal
good.
A, starting at the beginning.
Yeah, this is the first page of the PDF.
Well, I think it's the second. The first one talks about like how many were delegates or hold on. I'm not seeing your screen right this second. I'm sure I will. Are you sharing yet?
Yeah.
Hold on. It's not you. It's me. I know someone's going to make a Mac comment again.
This is just so I'm sharing the tiny URL link that you shared today on the list.
Yes,
So if
it's
I'm
like
missing-
300
if I'm missing
pages.
if I'm missing a page, and I don't know, this is
Oh,
all
hold
the-
on. I'm trying to see.
No, I don't think you're missing a page. It's you have the question up about the delegates. That was first page, but Karen Ann couldn't see your screen, so she didn't know you had that up.
Oh, you know what? You're right. This is will you be attending? I was looking at this the wrong one.
I'm not seeing your screen. If everyone else is seeing your screen,
I am.
I see it.
oh, I see it now. Got it. It got hidden. I see it now. All right. So we are, that's not proposal A you have up.
Go to page 4 of 323.
Thank you, Mr. Thompson. That's what I was asking for.
And now I don't see your screen again. I'm trying to minimize everything. Got it. So, show all windows. I am not seeing your screen. I'm going to pull up the survey on my own screen and just follow along as best I can on my own screen. I don't want my technical difficulties to be y'all's problems because it's not. All right. So page, what did you say? It was page 4?
Yes.
Okay, so we're dealing with proposal A, 1.9. self-defense. One of our more popular proposals, I think Mr. Taylor, for the numbers he gave, the first email, those numbers are in the chair's master proposal list, but that additional analysis he did has not been. The way I plan on handling going through this survey, I'm assuming everyone has taken the time to review to the extent that they wish to for the meeting today. And what I'm gonna kind of do is open up each survey for either if somebody would like to point out a helpful comment that might lead to a motion, or offer input, thoughts on where these proposals might fall in our wording, in our ordering, that this would be the time. So I might speak more than I normally do during this portion because we are getting down to the report. So does anyone have anything that they would wish to discuss regarding proposal A and the survey?
Madam Chair, just for verification, the two bar charts, the first one is all respondents and the second one is delegates alternate. Do I understand that
Yes.
correctly?
Yes. So for instance, on this one, it was really strange. I was very surprised by some of this data. On this one, the support went up when we were only looking at people who self-identified as going to the convention. In most of the proposals, oddly enough, the support went down a little bit. Some of them went down significantly. Most of it, though, it's kind of clustered in the same area. But yes, you are correct. The first one is the entire survey. The second bar chart is delegates / alternates only.
I'm confused, Madam Chair. Is it what we're looking at on the screen? Is that what you're talking about?
I cannot see Mr. Ricuro's screen.
Oh, I thought you could now.
Right now we're looking at
Page 4 is all respondents and page 5 is just the people who indicated they were delegates.
Yes. And each proposal is organized that way. I put in the three the three columns, then the bar chart of the entire survey respondents, then the bar chart of just those who identified as delegates or alternates, and then all the comments. Each of the proposals follows that same schema. So I don't know if anyone has anything that they wish to add here, or whether we're just going to say we're not going to recommend any changes or whatever according to the survey and move on to the next one, or any other comment, such as I'll add the comment of, personally, I think this should be our first proposal. This is the same thing I recommended in 2020. We can get to that, to ordering, but making recommendations like that are in order at this time. And the reason why is sales. You want to get people saying yes rather than no. This is a very simple proposal that just adds a few words, and I think it's a good warm up. Okay, hearing nothing further to add.
Oh, Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Brown.
Yeah, it looks like, I'm not sure how people want to go about this, but it seems like with so many proposals, just going through and saying, well, does anybody want to talk about this? You know, one after the other doesn't seem to make much sense. Maybe we should just go to the motions about how to order the report.
Well,
And using the data that we've been given here, which we had a chance to review, and Mr. Taylor's chart, I think we can see some of the most popular ones and just start right into what order we want to put them in the report.
I have a feeling there are going to be some motions to reconsider some wording based upon comments. And I wanted to give people the opportunity to do that. I intended upon going much more quickly after we broke this first barrier here.
Oh, well, maybe
And-
people could just suggest which ones they want to go to. Like, somebody could put their hand up and say, let's go to page 87 and then make a proposal based on that particular measure instead of just hoping something might come up for each one. Let's just go to the ones that people want to talk about.
Yeah, I would agree with Mr. Brown because
Okay.
if we go through this one by one, what do we have? Like 25?
We got 27, I think.
Yeah, I mean, let's just, I'm, if you have something that you want to talk about, just bring it forward, I guess, and let's go with it.
Okay, I have no problem going with that procedure.
And Madam
So-
Chair, just FYI, I'm pulling up all the vote totals and stuff like that. Oh, and okay, looks like you added on the chair's proposal
Yes.
some percentages. Okay, just in case anybody has any questions.
Okay,
All
if
right.
you could please pull that up on the screen because I do have a motion I would like to make.
Yeah. Let me see if I have it here. Or you
Can
know
I
what?
say
Let me
something real
just-
quick?
I'm sorry.
I just have something. I kind of agree with the suggestions made. However, once we start making amendments based upon the comments for any of these particular planks, then it's going to muddy the waters of the statistics a little bit. It's not, these numbers are going to mean maybe something different than what they had previously because the language has not changed. So I was going to suggest that if somebody wanted to make a motion to maybe order these things as a first pass, in a particular order based upon, like, say, for example, the rankings, and then, rearrange things after that first initial ranking has been completed, and that would be in order probably first before we start changing wording around.
I would be amenable to that as well, Mr. Taylor. And I do not know why I cannot see your screen. Mr. Secretary, give me 1 second because it's kind of really important that I do. Let me just try closing some windows here to see if I can finally see your screen. Want to close Chrome?
Omar, could you try stop sharing and resharing and maybe Karen Ann will
Yeah,
get it back?
maybe that would help.
All right, here we go.
Did you do it?
Yes.
Okay, now I don't see the room, but I see your screen and I'm going to leave it that way. Counting on you to just let me know when hands are raised, Mr. Secretary, because I do see your screen. There are two motions I would like to make, but I'll make one of them. And if someone else wishes, well, actually, to jump ahead of me, I don't want to hog the floor. Proposal E, omissions, which got under 40%. I am moving to trying to think of the proper way to word this. I'm moving to strike this proposal from being considered on our report.
Yeah, that's the right way to say it, Madam Chair, I think. Okay.
And I would like to speak to my motion. It's a proposal I happen to love as an anarchist, in reading the comments and looking at the percentages. I think we would be foolish to present it. It only passed the committee by 8-7. And I don't want to curse our other proposals with a proposal that is so clearly unpopular, even though I personally love it.
Looks like more people voted for it than against it, no?
So
in the
Starchild, would
survey.
you like to speak to my motion?
Or just, oops, the screen changed, but I think it said it was 36% were in favor and 30% were opposed and the rest had no opinion. Is that?
correct. It takes a 2/3 vote to pass a platform plank.
I see. There was some language that we also were considering for that one that was a little bit less strongly worded. Maybe we want to revisit that.
I would invite you to take that up on the email list unless you have a motion right now.
No, I don't.
I believe the language we were considering before, because I'm trying to help you, was from the last platform report. So perhaps somebody will want to bring that up on email list. That's not the motion before us right now, but I believe you are correct, Star Child, that there was less dramatic. I believe it was something like our silence, including the existence of government itself, if my memory serves me correctly. However, that's right now, the motion is to strike the proposal as it's currently worded. Would anyone else like to speak to it? And I can't see the screen. So Mr. Secretary, if you could let me know.
Mr. Taylor's hands up.
Okay, Mr. Taylor.
Yeah, I'll speak in favor. I also like this plank. I'm not an anarchist, and it's very much about the Dallas Accord, which I'm actually shocked that it is as unpopular as it seems to be. Based upon the respondents, and it was also unpopular in this committee compared to some of the other proposals. So I just say the writing's on the wall. We have too many proposals as it is. Let's just strike it and move on to the others.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Mr. Secretary, I can't see, just reminding you, I can't see.
No, I see no hands right now.
Okay, is there any objection to striking this proposal?
I guess I would object to permanently striking it at this point. I want to see what we kind of look like we're winding up with. I mean, I think it would be a really good change. I long felt we should have something explicitly about the Dallas Accord in our platform, and that this would do that. It's
Star Child, just so you know, nothing is stopping you from proposing a different change to emissions that would not be this language, but would accomplish the same thing.
Yeah, I mean,
the
I guess
list.
I'd maybe like some more time to think about that rather than deleting it at present.
The two things are completely separate issues.
So if we delete it now, we wouldn't be able to modify it, right?
Yeah, oh no, because yes, we would, because your modification would be an entirely new proposal.
I'm confused about how that works because, like before, you were saying, well, we need a reconsideration.
You need a reconsideration if you are going back and tweaking. What you were talking about was a brand new plank in the space exploration.
No, it wasn't a brand new plank. It was just changing two words.
Okay, Star Child. Maybe I'm not explaining myself properly. The space exploration plank didn't already exist in the platform. So in order for you to make any changes to it, it required a reconsideration because there was no existing language.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
This is an existing plank.
All right.
And it would not require a reconsideration. What would require reconsideration, however, is if you propose the exact same language that was voted down in favor of this more quote unquote radical language, because the committee did vote down what the committee recommended in 2020. That would require reconsideration.
Yeah.
But if you come up with substantially different language as a brand new proposal, that would not require reconsideration.
Yeah, I think there was a minority report and a majority report. I don't know if they were both voted down.
I don't know. We would have to look at the record,
Yeah.
But are you objecting to?
Yeah, I'm objecting to striking it. I think something along those lines would be really good to propose.
Okay, so Mr. Secretary, if you could go to a roll call vote on the motion to strike proposal E, omissions.
Yes. We're going to start with Gary Alstead.
Yes.
And Mark Raymond,
Aye.
Ted Brown,
Aye.
Matt Choco,
Abstain.
Sean Hickman,
Stain.
Ken Matz,
No.
Josh McHose,
No.
Omar Crow will vote aye. Mike Seebeck,
Aye.
Star Child,
Nay.
Corey Taylor,
Aye.
John Thompson.
Aye.
Okay. Madam Chair, hold on, I can switch right here. Good thing I have two windows open. All right, I'm showing 7 in favor, 3 opposed, 2 express abstentions at 9:59.
Okay, that proposal is struck. If no, is there any hands raised to make any, because I have another motion, but I
Yes,
don't want to,
yes.
okay? Who's up?
Here's who's in the queue: Mr. Seebeck, Mr. Brown, and Star Child.
And then put me in there at the end. So
And
we
then
have
Matt
Seebeck,
Choco after you.
well, actually, so we had Seebeck, Brown, who else?
Star Child and Choco.
Okay, I'm putting myself after Cholko. I want other people to talk before me. Mr. Seebeck,
Oh, yeah, Omar, could you put up the previous screen, not the votes, but the summary?
Which one?
The one that had the percentages and all the vote tallies?
the chairs, yeah.
Yeah, that one, thank you. I got a thought here. I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I'll throw it out there. We've got 3 relevant major data points on each proposal. We've got our vote tallies, we've got the survey percentages for everybody, and then the survey percentages for the delegates and the alternates. If we're looking to figure out how to not only order these things, as well as figure out if we need to take anything else out, it seems to me, it's just my own opinion, that if we rearrange this sheet by sorting it in a way that lists our highest vote tallies and the highest survey percentages for the other 2, it's going to put towards the bottom of the pile the lower less popular proposals that are also least likely to pass. And I think that will go a long way towards figuring out what would stay in and what would go out. I don't know if that's a good idea or not, but it's a thought.
And I will just remind the committee, I haven't yet closed the OPA vote ballot, which is a non-binding ballot that just gives the committee's opinion and ranked choice as to how they would like to order these things. I can do that right now if you guys would like to see that. We can wait till next meeting to look at that. You guys just let me know. So Mr. Brown.
Yes, I was thinking we should be a little bit more bold on this and just start into it. And I would look at Mr. Taylor's chart that was up before about what the delegates want. And I would move that the first 10 proposals on the report be in that order that the delegates want. Proposals B, A, N, J, X, K, M, O, R, I, and W be the first 10 items on our report. They have support of 74% plus of the proposed delegates. We obviously put them, we obviously supported them as a committee. And I think we need to just move into this and get going on this instead of looking at every single one individually. So that's my motion for those to be the top 10 items in our report.
Did you get that, Mr. Secretary?
I'm taking it as the top 10 proposals with the most
Right, for the delegates. Yeah,
on the list approval from delegates. From
on the
delegates
delegates list.
Could you please say those in order again, Mr. Brown, starting from the top?
Yes, proposal B, proposal A, proposal N as in Nancy, proposal J, proposal X, proposal K, proposal M, proposal O, proposal R, proposal I, and proposal W.
What was that last one?
W is in Wendy.
Whiskey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I have the motion carefully, reflected here. Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Mhm.
Madam Chair, that is a motion, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Excuse me. And did you wish to speak to that further, Mr. Brown?
No, that's all.
Star Child, did you wish to speak to this motion, or did you have something entirely different?
No, actually, let me take my hand down for now.
Mr. Choco, same question.
Well, I did want to speak to something else, but I'll also speak to this motion. I think I'll probably vote in favor of it because obviously we need some sort of criteria for ordering things. I just kind of want to point out that, you know, as members of the platform committee, presumably we have given a lot more consideration to these things than most or maybe all of the survey takers. And well, certainly we should rely on that data to a significant extent. We should not forget about the fact that we've put a ton of consideration into these, and I would say that the votes that they got in this committee are more important than the survey data, or are very important in addition to the survey data. So I don't like the idea of just using the survey data. Also, I don't know whether, I don't know where to line up on this, but you know, the platform serves the entirety of the party, not just the delegates. So I'm not saying I'm opposed to using the delegate data rather than the general party member data, but just keep in mind that we're not just making a platform for the delegates.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Secretary.
okay. I know that you were intending to speak, but after you, you have Sean Hickman, Curry Taylor, and myself.
Okay, so Hickman, Taylor, and Mercuro. Okay, I am going to make a motion to amend. Well, I'll explain it after I make the motion. I am moving to move up proposal. Let me make sure I have the ones right. Proposal N as in Nancy to follow immediately after O. If my amendment passes and the final first 10 pass, I intend upon making a motion to combine proposals O and N. They had very similar statistics, and they are both on the healthcare plank, and they're related. They're popular enough that I think we can do it in one swoop. But with this motion on the floor, I would not be able to do that cleanly unless we had these two right next to each other in ordering. So I am moving N to immediately follow O with the intention of making that combination motion when it's in order. Okay, now we're on the amendment. Mr. Hickman, did you wish to stay in line for when we get back to the main motion, or did you wish to speak on the amendment?
I'm going to lower my hand. I think Mr. Brown has already covered what I would have commented on. I'm going to lower my hand.
Okay, Mr. Taylor, same question.
I think I will lower my hand as well. However, I do want a clarification. You said you wanted N to follow O.
Yes.
So that's bringing N down quite a ways if it's going to be past slot 8 after O, right?
I'm not sure if I understand the order that Mr. Brown had B. Oh, wait, N was on here twice. No, hold on. Mr. Brown, I think I wrote something down wrong.
Yes, the N is in the third position, and I think M is in Mike is the one you might have confused with N is in
M.
Nancy. M is
Okay.
between K and O. So yeah, N is the third position, and the other one you said O is in the 2, 4, 6, 8th position. So you might want to move
Yes.
move O up instead of moving N down.
That was my intention.
Madam
Is-
Chair, I have it on the screen too. I think I
Oh.
have it correctly on the screen.
Okay, I'm gonna ask the committee, there was a mistake of fact in my motion because I got confused between M and N. Is there any objection to me correcting my motion to my intent, which would then be to move O to be immediately after N as in Nancy?
Which are those two, N and O?
They're both healthcare proposals. Mr. Taylor, so does that satisfy what you're?
Yeah, that fixes the problem. I would like to be recognized after this amendment.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Secretary?
I wanted to speak to something else, but I'll speak to this. So it's move proposal O to follow it immediately after proposal N, right?
Yes, and if that ends up passing, once it's in order, I am going to be moving to combine proposals N and O.
Okay. I don't think I necessarily have a problem with this. And I don't want to get into the merits of the main motion, so I think I'll support this, but I don't want to speak to a future motion either. I guess I'm still gathering my thoughts. Yeah, I'll get back on line for the main motion. Thank you, Madam Chair. I see Matt Chokel's hand up.
Mr. Choka?
This might be well, whatever. I have a question. Am I correct in understanding here that if the main motion passes, we will have then just ordered the first 10 items in our report, and it would not then be possible for someone to say, you know, move motion, whatever, motion Z into the top spot. Is that correct? Short of a reconsideration. Is that correct?
Correct. You would need to make those amendments now.
Okay, so once this is done, the only way to get things into the top 10 would be via reconsideration?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
That being the case, if I may, could we maybe go through them and identify what each of those top 10 ones are?
Starchild, could we please, Mr. Secretary, could we please pull up my master chart?
Yeah. No, that's not it. There it is. See it, Madam Chair?
Yes, I do. I'm not sure, Starchild, how you're suggesting to do this. What I might suggest is if you could pull up on your screen the full 3-column proposal that was part of the survey and is in the platform committee folder. Someone could probably email it to the list as well so that you can look at these. Otherwise, we can pull up each of them individually. You certainly have that right.
Maybe 30 seconds for each. I'm not immediately even sure which URL for the platform committee folder you're talking about. Too many URLs floating around. It gets confusing.
It's at the beginning of, well, let me get it for you. It's at the beginning of every agenda or all the relevant links. But in order to save time, just pull, please back up, Mr. Secretary, the chair's master sheet, because all of the proposals are linked. I think you suppressed the column because I do, right. Okay. So we're gonna go through each of them.
Madam Chair,
Who is that, please?
this is Omar.
Yes, Mr. Secretary.
I object.
I rule your objection not well taken. Any committee member has the right to see on the screen what they are voting for. Do you wish to appeal my ruling?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, so we are going to start with proposal B. If you could click on that tiny URL, would be the first proposal. I'm going to go through all 10 of them. I'm going to go through them in the order of the amendment because that's what we're actually on, but I'll let you know where we get to the one that's an amendment. So here's proposal B, which I will summarize as adding the getting rid of the qualified immunity plank. Let me know when we can move on to the next one, Star Child.
Maybe you should just ask if anyone has any objection, but yeah, I'm fine moving on.
Well, you wanted me to go through. You wanted to see all 10 of them.
I'm fine moving on if nobody else wants
Okay.
to spend longer.
Okay, let's go to proposal A.
I mean, I want again, Madam Chair, proposal A.
A.
A as an apple. That one took me to the drive for some odd reason.
It could be a mistake of mine, but I could let you know which one that is, Star Child. It is the one that simply adds the words "or firearms accessories" to the end of the self-defense plank, where it talks about the things that there should not be any laws regulating. Talks about ammunition, firearms.
Yeah,
And,
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next, please pull up proposal N.
There's proposal A, and I'll knock that out. And I go like this. There we go. That's healthcare.
Yep.
That's the subject of your amendment, Madam Chair, correct?
It is correct. But right now, this would remain as number 3, which is adding a sentence to the end of healthcare about medical procedures, including vaccines. Then with the amendment, next up would be proposal O.
Okay. Proposal O. Right here, which is healthcare.
Which adds that sentence to the same plank: healthcare, medical facilities, medical providers must be freely available in the marketplace without government restrictions or licensing. That is the subject of my amendment to move that up right below N, with my stated intention that I will be moving to if this amendment passes, I will be moving to combine the proposal we just looked at that added the sentence at the end about vaccines with this one, since it had high support, and the convention could always move to divide it if it wished, but it would give us one less proposal, at least on paper. Next up is proposal J. Is it just me, or is it? Did we lose Omar?
No, it seems it's still loading on his screen.
Okay.
Or if we,
It's just I don't hear Omar, so that's what's getting me.
He's still here.
Well, we can still read it. It's individual rights shall not be curtailed, whether based on circumstances of war, epidemic, natural disaster, or emergency, or any other pretense.
Got it? It was what I like to call the pestilence plank, even though we ended up not using that word. Okay, Mr. Secretary, next should be proposal X. And we lost him, didn't we?
Yep.
Let's give him.
Yeah, X is representative government. We staunchly defend the rights to petition the government for redress of grievance and to express dissent. These rights are thwarted when governments act behind closed doors. Then we call for proportional representation and none of the above on the ballot. And also oppose any efforts to deny all these options like initiative and referendum to the people as popular checks on government.
Thank you. Then
What letter was that again?
That was
is
X.
X. Next is K.
All right, I'm back. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
K.
Mr. Brown has been pitch hitting for you.
Yeah.
K is omissions. I believe it's adding basically the wording of the NAP.
And Madam Chair, we might have 11 proposals here. Mr. Brown may have given me 11 by mistake, or I recorded 11 by mistake.
Okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep, there are 11. So we would
Strike
drop
double.
M.
Actually, I was kind of visionary, Madam Chair, because if your amendment
Right.
passes, then we'd be back to 10.
Well, actually, no, I had M or, well, you're going to correct me in a moment here because I had M after K. So I think we had M on the list twice.
Yeah,
So here's
Rob-
K for Star Child.
we'll figure it out. Madam Chair.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. And then next I had M. Is that correct?
Yes, I have
So-
M as well.
Okay. Yeah, no, there is just 10. We had M listed twice, I think, for some reason. M is marketplace freedom.
Oh, yeah, that one.
This is the one that still needs language for the rationales. So that's up on the screen. Okay, O, we already looked at, which was for the healthcare one. It's the one I am suggesting to move up, but if it doesn't get moved up, it would come right here. It is the one that adds the second sentence, not the one about vaccines, but about healthcare solutions being available in the marketplace without licensing or restrictions. Proposal R.
That's international affairs. American foreign policy should emphasize peace with all nations, entangling alliances with none, and mention tariffs, economic sanctions, and regime change.
Yeah, it was some rewording. Okay. Which one was that? That was R. Next is I. Last is I.
I like, yeah. India.
Individual. Yeah.
Yeah. Securing liberty. Trying to get all these things up on the screen.
Okay. So, so now all of them have been viewed. We are back on the amendment. Would anyone else like to speak to the amendment? And I'm counting on you, Mr. Secretary, to let me know.
I have Mr. Brayman's hand up.
Mr. Brayman.
This is more a point of inquiry. It's a little bit relevant to the amendment, but we had an OPA vote, as I recall, that prioritized these, and we haven't made any reference to that at all. Are we deciding that those data are not relevant to order proposals, or might we look at the results of that OPA vote before we make a vote on this?
I brought it up earlier and hold on one second. Does the committee have, we do have a pending motion right now. I believe what Mr. Brayman, though, is asking is for he's a request for a personal privilege, which is to see the results of the OPA vote before making a decision on this motion. This is not a debatable request, but it's a request that he can make. Is there any objection to granting Mr. Brayman's request?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
well, I want to object, but I think I know how it's going to go. You're going to have to share those results because I never even got an open vote link, and I had comments about that, which I'll save right now.
Okay, one moment here. Okay, I have it on my screen here.
All right, I'm dropping.
I'm hitting publish results, so all of you will get an email, but I am going to look at them now. And the way OPA vote would have done the top 10, I'm going to make a separate column. I'm just going to do 10 so we can compare apples to oranges, is A, B, oh no, those are the candidates. Never mind. DERP. Where's results? Okay. Let me see. Why did it do this? Because it's STV. STV is proportional. Others didn't reach the necessary proportion to be ranked because it's STV. So let me give you, out of OPA vote, it only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 reached the necessary thresholds. And those are in order: A, B, C, believe it or not, D, E, F, L, and W.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I have A, B, C, D, E, F, L, W.
Yep.
Okay.
And that is the OPA vote data.
Was that really their order, or was that just those that reached a threshold?
That is, let me see here. Well, it's the order in which they reached the threshold, with some of them being tied, like both reaching the threshold at the same time. Because it's a multi-winner race. I personally am, STV can be very difficult when you're dealing with options like this rather than candidates. So I think that's a point well taken, because if you look at round 1, it looks like everything but B and E all reached the threshold at the exact same time. And B and E had a ton of excess votes. B is the number one in Mr. Brown's proposal, but E, can you let me know what E is, Mr. Secretary?
Yeah, E is omissions. That's the one that we've already voted on to strike from the.
Okay, and it's funny, the committee loved that one, but we're out of touch with the members on that. Okay. So I don't know what y'all want to do with this data. The one conclusion I think we can draw from it is that both OPA vote and the membership data all seem to agree that B should be first.
Were there any things else, any other things in the OPA vote that rose in the top 8 or whatever that we have not yet included in Mr. Brown's motion?
Yes, let me
B was firearms, correct?
Yes, Star Child. C, D, F, actually, our OPA vote is the only things, and it's easier to say which things in the OPA vote were included rather than weren't included. The only
Right, I
intersection,
want that.
yeah, the only intersection between our OPA vote ranking and the member rankings are proposals A and B. The other ones that we ranked really high are not in the members' top 10.
I'm worried about that because I'd like to, before we take a vote on a ranking that would be very hard to change, I'd like to have some sense of why they came out differently. I had other reasons besides popularity for ranking certain things high, more that they represented an important change in our platform, whereas I think some of the ones that are very popular may be very minor changes, so easy to get past, but not really in my mind as important for establishing our reputation or our whatever, our popularity with the general public. So I'd like to have some idea of why they disagree.
I don't think, Mr. Raymond, we can know that other than members like yourself sharing reasons for their ranking. If members wish to share that in debate, they can, but otherwise they do have the right to hold their peace. FYI, I did not vote as usual, so I have no input there. It's going to be up to the members. If they don't think popularity with the membership should be our primary objective, then I would suggest you vote Mr. Brown's motion once we get past the amendment down, and propose some other method. Okay, we are back to the amendment. Is there anyone else's hand raised?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have Matt Choco, Mr. Brayman, Mike Seebeck, and Ted Brown.
Is Mr. Brayman's?
I'll lower
Okay.
my.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have Cholko, Seebeck, and Brown. Mr. Cholko,
Is a motion to adjourn in order at this time?
yes.
Okay.
But I'm
then-
just, I need to check to see if it's amendable or I'm looking for the rules. Ordinary when. Okay. Debatable, no. Amendable, no. Majority required for adoption. So we go to it. First, let me ask, is there any objection to adjourn?
Well, hold on. I haven't made the
Objection.
motion yet.
Oh, okay,
I haven't
sorry,
made the
sorry.
motion.
Yes, it is in order. It's not amendable. It's not debatable, requires a majority to pass.
So if I make the motion, I cannot speak to it, or can I?
You cannot.
Okay, so I can speak on the stuff that's on the floor and then make the motion to close out my spiel, right?
You can.
Okay, so let me say this. I think that the amendment and the main motion, I think we're going into them with we're doing very sloppy work. We have data that we've had very little time with. We just brought in OPA vote data that we can't even determine. We don't even seem to have a collective opinion of whether or not that's good data. We don't know how to use it. It does not agree with the survey data on which we're about to vote on a motion that states 10 items, which actually contains 11.
No, it's
think
just 10. M was.
It is not. It's 11. It's 11 for sure.
Yes, Madam Chair, it's 11 unless we drop
This is what I'm
W.
saying. We're doing extremely sloppy work. I think that we should stop doing this work, spend some time with the data, and come back and do a cleaner job when we're ready to do that. And with that, I move to adjourn.
Just one moment, please, so because I want to make sure I have What letter am I missing? W is at the end instead of M. Okay, thank you. So you're correct. It is 11 items. Okay, there is a motion to adjourn. Is there an objection to adjourning at this
Objection.
time? There is an
Objection.
objection. Mr. Secretary, if you would take a roll call vote.
Yes. Gary Alstead,
Yes.
Mark Raymond,
Yes.
Ted Brown,
Nay.
Matt Choco,
Aye.
Sean Hickman.
Nay.
Okay, Ken Matz,
No.
Josh McHose,
Nay.
okay, Omar Rickrell will vote aye. Mike Seebeck,
Abstain?
Star Child,
I abstain.
Gary Taylor,
No.
John Thompson.
Abstain.
Okay, give me 1 second here because I feel like I'm missing somebody. No, I'm not missing anybody. Okay. Madam Chair. We don't have a tie. If I have this correctly.
I had
4
4
in-
to 5. Okay,
4
the
in
motion,
favor,
yeah.
5 opposed, 3 express abstentions.
Okay, motion fails. Mr. Seebeck.
Yeah, I think maybe in this, I don't know if this is going down a rabbit hole we don't want to go down or not, but in the very first question in this entire survey was how many people taking the survey are going to be at the convention. And I seem to recall it was almost 3/4 weren't. I think it's very possible that people deliberately spiked the survey who are not showing up as a way of screwing with us. So I'm not sure how even much valid that information is providing us at this point. As many shenanigans have been going around going into this convention, it wouldn't put it past anybody to try to do the same thing here. So I think we got to keep that in mind.
Yeah, I'd like to address that. I know people can use multiple IP addresses. SurveyMonkey does keep track of IP addresses. The differences in the percentages between the people who said they were going and the people who said they weren't shockingly different. They were different, but nothing in there struck me as suspicious. Obviously, everyone will need to judge for themselves. I could just say it is the chair's opinion that as surveys go, this is generally reliable data. That is my opinion only. Mr. Brown.
Yes, I wanted to address the issue in general here about the, somebody said this was like sloppy work to do this way. And this would include both the amendment and the main motion is what they're talking about. And I don't think that's the case at all. What we're talking about is that, first of all, if these are popular measures, not only did we pass them, but 90% say for the first 3 of them practically, the delegates want them. And whether they're first or fourth or fifth, they're going to pass pretty easily without all kinds of debate. If we start getting to the more complicated ones and the ones that aren't quite as popular, they're going to take longer to discuss. They probably will pass, a lot of them will, but they might have a lot of amendments, they might have a lot of debate. And if we want to make sure that we have more proposals that pass, I think that having the ones that are popular that no one might even want to debate, like about firearms accessories or whatever, or qualified immunity, this kind of method of ordering them is fine. I mean, whether your favorite proposal is second or fifth or sixth, they're all probably going to get heard. But if it's one that's so popular and it's 2 words, then it's probably going to pass real quick, and then we can just move on to the next one. So I think trying to switch one from the 2nd position to the 5th position to the 4th position is not really a valuable use of our time. Now, once we get down to the lower ones where we have like less than 60% of the people favor it, then we might have a little bit more to discuss. But when we're talking about these most popular ones that are likely to pass, I think we're on solid ground here to do it with this, chunk group block method.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Mr. Secretary.
So I have a point of privilege. I almost want to call for orders of the day. Mr. Chokel's hand's still up, Mr. Seebeck, Mr. Brown's hand's up. Mr. Raymond is the new hand. Yeah, I guess orders of the day, because we're still discussing the amendment, and we're going off base on that, please.
We are, but Mr. Brown did keep it, he did go a little bit far afield, but the objection he was addressing was an objection that was aimed at both the amendment and the primary. So that is why I did determine that his debate was germane. But thank you very much for the reminder. Whose hands are up? And please make sure you are wishing to speak on the amendment.
Mr. Brayman right now is a sole hand.
Mr.
Yep.
Brayman.
I removed it.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry.
Okay, Mr. Choco.
No, I'm not on the amendment. I just put my hand down.
Okay, there are
Is
no
there-
hands.
Okay, no further, I'm going to ask, is there an objection to the amendment?
But N after O.
Yes, moving O up to immediately follow N. In preparation, I said my intent was to combine N and O.
Combining it makes sense to me.
Okay, seeing no objection, I want to make sure I'm correct without me, I'm flying a little blind down the screen here. The amendment passes. We are now back on the main motion. I would like myself put in the queue, but I don't want to go first if there's somebody else who wishes to speak.
Mr. Taylor has his hand up, and then I'll speak after him, and then Mr. Brayman.
Okay, so Taylor, Brayman, Ricuro, Harlos. Mr. Taylor.
Yeah, I like Ted Brown's proposal, and I would like to move to amend it to include all of the proposals in the order of the delegate and alternate responses. I think that ranking, well, I won't debate on it, but I would like to rank all the proposals to be ranked in that manner.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend, but Mr. Taylor, in order to, can you give me the letters in order?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Let me jot them down as you say them.
B, A, N, O, because we have made
Right.
that correction, a change.
Correct.
J, X, K, M as in Mike, O, sorry, not O, R, I, W, P, Y, U, F, V, T, D, C, G, Q, S, L, 3, 2, 1, and we've already struck E.
3, 2, 1. Those were never pronounced. Those were never. Those failed the committee.
All right. So forget 3, 2, and 1.
Okay. 1. Let me hold on. I would suggest, because, well, this isn't a suggestion, in order to make, I think we wanted to, the committee made a decision that in our ordering, we were going to divide. We were going to do proposal G before proposals C and D. That the last proposal we would make was the move. That's a decision that's already been made by the committee. So I would tell you.
That's what I meant to say, Ms. Madam Chair.
So I just want to look at, and I'll restate this ordering. G, which proposal was removing the word unreasonably? Was that C?
That was D.
That was D.
Yeah, I just pulled it up.
So DC. Okay, where was D
And
before?
D did pull higher. It's just to point it out.
Oh, I don't even see D on the list you gave me, Mr.
To be F, V, T, D, C, G.
Okay, so instead though, it would be.
I'd misspoken and you had pointed that out.
Right,
to
so
me.
it'd be G, D, C.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, so let me restate this list for everybody. I'm going to only start with I'm only going to restate your amendment because we already know up through W, which was what Mr. Brown's original motion was. Mr. Taylor moved to amend to order the rest of them in the following order. P, Y, U, F, V as in victory, T, G, D as in dog, C as in cat, Q, S, L.
Yes.
Okay. Would you like to speak to that?
Yes, this is the order of the delegate and alternate responses. And I think this is the best ordering for success if we're interested in looking at, getting to the most number of proposals. If we order it in this way, we'll spend fewer amounts of time at the beginning of the report, and we can get down to some of the lower, lesser popular proposals later because we'll already have dispensed with the upper ones at the top. So I think this is the best way to get the most number of proposals heard, and it's just in the same spirit of Mr. Brown's motion.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Mr. Brayman, did you wish to speak on the Taylor amendment?
Yes, I'm not sure if I am requesting to amend further, but I would like this to be a preliminary ordering so that we don't have to vote to reconsider if we wanted to make changes subsequently after, say, recombining several of the choices. Is there any way that can be in order so that we don't regard this as a final ordering, but rather just a preliminary ordering?
No, Mr. Brayman, unfortunately, I believe that would be out of order. Did you wish to?
I'd like to appeal the ruling of the chair on that. It seems to me there should be a way to allow it to be a preliminary vote. I like Mark's suggestion there.
Point
Okay.
of inquiry.
Who was that, please?
Ms. Thompson, why does it matter if it's preliminary or not?
Because it's not a decision of the body. The whole reason to make motions and votes is to make actual decisions of the body, which reflect the will of the body that once made can only be changed through certain processes.
I will reword my question. Is the effect of it being an order that is preliminary as opposed to just being an order that we can change at a later time?
If that's a question to me, I don't understand it.
I mean, this raise about making it a preliminary order. What is the difference between we just reordering it or reordering it and calling it preliminary? I don't understand what difference that makes. We're putting an order together. If we're not making a decision, it doesn't make sense. So we're reordering. Whether or not we call it preliminary or final really make a difference.
It makes a difference in that if it's preliminary, if allegedly preliminary was allowed, then in order to change it, it's as if this motion is still alive past this meeting and into perpetuity. It's turning a decision of the body into an opinion poll of the body, and that is improper.
I appeal the ruling.
Okay, Star Child also appealed. So we are now on an appeal from the ruling of the chair. I get to speak first and last, and everyone else is permitted to speak once. I believe I said almost everything I did, but the reason it is out of order is because it is effectively turning a motion into a straw poll. And straw polls are not permitted under Roberts. Motions are the decision of the body. Saying something isn't our decision, but is our decision until we decide it's not our decision anymore, is just completely turning Roberts on its head. The way to defeat this is to vote against it. And if in the future, if it's passed, the way to change it is to reconsider it. I don't think I'm going to say anything else at all. I'll waive my right to speak last. Who's next?
May I speak?
We have, I was gonna say we have Choco's hand still up, Star Child's hand up, McHose, Raymond Brown. So I think McHose would be next.
Well,
Only-
Star Child made the appeal. So I would like to give Star Child priority. And then who else was there?
I think Brayman made maybe.
Well, they
Star Child
both
can
did.
say it.
So we're going to go Star Child, Brayman, McHose. Who else do we have?
Brown and myself.
Choco.
Choco,
Brown,
and
me.
Mercuro. Star Child.
Yeah, I hate to take the time to look this up, but it boggles my mind that Roberts doesn't allow straw polls. I've heard them done so many times, and it just seems like common sense. I mean, if we pass a preliminary, the difference between the preliminary and the final vote is that if we do it as a final vote, it would be parliamentarily more difficult to change things later. I mean, I think having it as a preliminary gives us a chance to, kind of have something to work with now without having it put in stone. I don't see the desirability of putting the order in stone right now. The other thing I was going to mention was not specific to the appeal, but just before we have the vote on this, I'd like to again see what each of those remaining after the first 10 are really quickly, and have a little bit of time to think about, what if there might be exceptions where there's something that maybe wasn't that popular, but we think is really important that we want to put higher or something like that.
Okay, and I have Mr. Brayman next, and just because of something Star Child said, I am going to speak last because he requested a Roberts citation, which I will give in my closing. Brayman, Mr. Brayman.
Yes, the chair has said that a preliminary motion isn't allowed because it would not be a final decision of the body, and yet the chair has proposed that after we do this ordering, that we be able to combine certain of these proposals, and my feeling is that after they're combined, that might change our prioritization of them, because something might get piggybacked onto something that was much more popular, even though it wasn't originally as popular in the poll of in the survey. And so this isn't really being taken now as a final ordering anyway, because the chair herself has planned to make changes in the construction of the list. And so I don't think it's fair to say that we then can't make a reordering afterwards. Thank you.
Mr. McHose?
I only really have a point of order, mostly on Mr. Taylor. Was the ordering previously TDCG? Because as it was on the list, it was showing D then TCG.
Madam Chair, we've lost Omar for the moment.
Okay, yeah, he's not here.
I can answer then that question to Mr. McHose. There was a previous decision of the body that because G, D, and C were related, they would go and
on his list was placed after D where T is like D is supposed to come after T. That is the problem I'm trying to point out. And also, we are coming up on time. Do we need to make them
Well, we've got 7 minutes.
Yep.
I will deal with your point of inquiry. We're in the middle of an appeal of the ruling of the chair after that, because it's not relevant to the appeal of the ruling of the chair, but I'll have you first, Mr. McCose, once the appeal of the ruling of the chair is dealt with. Mr. Cholko.
Can you explain exactly what's going to happen if we overturn the ruling of the chair?
Then we would have a motion in which this is the preliminary ordering, in which we would have to go through this entire process again.
Okay. I would assume it's not in order to make a motion to adjourn at this time. Is that correct?
Not in the middle of an appeal, no.
Okay, so
5 minutes anyway.
I would like to be in line to make that motion as soon as it's in order, as soon as after whoever you just put first or whatever.
Yeah, gotcha.
Thank you.
Mr. Brown.
Yeah, I'm not sure if this is as much debate as a question here. I do support the ruling of the chair, but wouldn't it be the case that if we pass the list as a final motion, anybody that wants to change something should vote in favor of that so they could move to reconsider later any one particular thing they might want to move from one slot to another at a later time. That way, if that was the case, we could have something set, but it could be changed if someone who wishes to change it would support the motion now, and then they could move for reconsideration at a later date.
You are correct, Mr. Brown. Is the secretary back?
No, not yet. Don't see him.
Okay, I am going to give my closing words, but if he comes back, I'll allow him, because he was in line to answer.
Madam Secretary, do you see? There's at least my hand is still up. I don't.
Oh, I did not see that. Mr. Alsted.
All right. Well, one, I was going to say, yeah, I can see the straw polls are not in order. You're going to cite it 4572. I don't think there's much argument with that. But I think what we're really looking for is a starting point, that we've chose the starting point A through whatever, and it's not really close to what we want for the final order to be. And I think that's what the committee is looking for, as a starting point. So could we have, maybe after this, is there any way we could appoint a committee of like 5 people to come up with a starting point and propose that like within a day or two, and then give us until the next meeting, so that when we come back to the next meeting, we have an initial that we can debate moving 1 or 2 things around?
Mr. Alvstead, I will answer your point of parliamentary inquiry that's not relevant to the appeal from the ruling of the chair after we dispense with the ruling of the chair.
Okay, I'm not allowed to ask. I thought I could ask parliamentary questions at any point.
They need to be relevant to the issue at hand, or it's dilatory and
You don't think that's
distracting.
relevant to this issue?
It's relevant to how I'll likely vote on it.
Yeah.
I just got a text from Omar saying his internet is out.
Okay. Well, this is going to be fun, taking the vote. Okay, Mr. Alvstead, if this motion is voted down, the committee could do whatever it likes in appointing subcommittees.
Okay, thank you.
When I mean this motion, I'm not talking
Right.
about the
You mean-
appeal. Right, okay.
Right.
Since I think I just got a text from Omar, but final thing, Mr. Alvstead was correct. This is going back to Starchild's point and my closing. 4572, straw polls are not in order. A motion to basically test the water is not in order because it neither adopts nor rejects a measure, and hence is meaningless and dilatory. You don't need a motion to have a preliminary list. That makes no decision, it's meaningless, and it's dilatory. Mr. Brown has made a motion, and Mr. Taylor has made an amendment to that motion. They have every right to ask this body to make a decision, and to take their motions and make them non-motions is violating their rights, in my opinion. And I also believe I'm supported by Roberts on this, and I ask the committee to sustain my ruling, and people who do not agree with this motion should A, either vote it down, or B, decide they're going to strategically vote and be on the winning side. Of course, you could also be, actually, it's not on the losing side. It's different in committees. And abstain is not on the losing side, and you would preserve your rights to reconsider. We are going to go to a vote, and then we will be at adjournment because we will be out of time. We're proceeding immediately to a vote on, and I'm trying to pull up the list here. Show all windows. I hate Zoom sometimes. Mr. Brown, I don't know if you can see all of Zoom because Zoom's just giving me a super hard time. If you can, would you mind taking a roll call vote? And I will.
I could do it from the list of participants.
Yes, please.
Okay. This will be a
Wait,
different order
one
than we-
moment, Mr. Brown. Let me explain because people forget. A yes vote sustains the ruling of the chair. A no vote overturns the ruling of the chair. In order to overturn the ruling of the chair, this is a weird, there needs to be more no's than yeses. A tie sustains the ruling of the chair. Okay, thank you, Mr.
Point of
Brown. If you-
parliamentary inquiry.
Yes,
So considering that it's 11 o'clock, after we vote on this sustaining the ruling of the chair, are we immediately adjourned?
unless there's a
Unless there's a
motion for
motion.
extension of time, we are.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Okay, the vote on the ruling of the chair. Okay, we'll start with Matt Cholko.
Abstain.
Okay, Gary Alvstad.
Yes.
Okay, Curry Taylor.
Yes.
Okay, Mark Brayman.
No.
Okay, Starchild.
No.
Okay. People are jumping around on the list here. Okay, John Thompson.
Aye.
Okay, Joshua McCose.
Aye.
Okay, Ken Matz.
Aye.
Okay, Mike Seebeck.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what was Ken Mads.
Aye.
Thank you.
Mike Seebeck.
Aye.
Okay, Sean Hickman.
Abstain.
Okay, let's see. Okay, Karen Ann Harlos.
I will not vote.
Okay, and
Mike.
I will vote. Okay,
I'm
I will vote. That's fine. I will vote aye. So that's 2, 4, 6, 7 aye, 2 no, and 2 expressed abstentions. I noted the names.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very, very much. My appealing is, my ruling is sustained. Unless there's a motion to extend time, we will be immediately adjourned. Thursday meeting, we'll pick up where we left off.
Move to extend 5 minutes.
Okay, there's a motion from Mr. Alvstead to extend for 5 minutes. Is there an,
Objection.
there is an objection? Okay, that means we're going to need to go to another roll call vote. Mr. Brown, would you again do the honors?
Okay, just a moment. Okay, this is on extending 5 minutes. Okay, let's see. Matt Cholko.
No.
Okay, Mark Brayman.
No.
Starchild.
Abstain.
Okay, Gary Alvstad.
Yes.
Okay, John Thompson.
Yes.
Okay, Curry Taylor.
Abstain.
Okay, Joshua McCose.
Nay.
Okay, Ken Matz.
Nay.
Okay, Mike Seebeck.
Nay.
Okay, Sean Hickman.
Yes.
Okay, and I will vote nay. Okay, so it's 3 in favor, 2 for, 6 no, and 2 expressed abstentions. Fails.
Okay, it fails. We are adjourned at 9:03. Excuse me, which would be 11:03 Eastern, 9:03 Mountain. I will see everyone on Thursday where we'll take up immediately where we left off. And I did note the names of people I said I would be calling on immediately. I will see you guys on
Ms.
Thursday.
Hollis,
Yes,
Ms. Hollis, are you able to get the OPA vote data out to us at some point? Or have you already done that?
it should be in your email box. If
Okay, I
you,
haven't looked.
if you
I
didn't
believe
get
you.
it, just put a request on the list. And
Okay.
I'll put it up there.
Thank you.
Okay, we are adjourned. As is typical, if anyone wants to stick around and talk, I can only hang out for 15 minutes, which is normally what I say on the agenda is going to be 15 minutes. So if anyone would like to stay and informally discuss things. Otherwise, you're free, obviously free to go.
I think it would make sense to have some amount of ordering discussion on the email list. So if somebody wants to start that right now, and you know, the idea of proposing, obviously we have motions on the floor, but we can just vote those down if we come up with something better in the meantime. So if somebody has a proposed ordering, or if we want to start with Curry's ordering or Mr. Brown's ordering or something, we can start working via the email list on this stuff and maybe have some bit more consensus on Thursday.
Besides the ordering, what else do we
I think
have outstanding here to do?
I'm sorry, Sarge?
Besides the ordering of the report, is there something else specifically we need to do?
Yes, we need to, if there are any amendments to be made to the rationales, and somebody does need to write a rationale for proposal, I believe it was M.
Could someone just post the rationales in plain text to the list? I having all these different URLs out there gets very confusing. I'm not sure where to go and look for stuff. I always have to dig through emails to find the right links or whatnot.
Starchild, unless a committee member is going to volunteer to take the time to do that, I will post a URL to the list. But that's what everyone else on the committee is doing. I can
Karen.
tell you, I'm personally not going to.
Okay, well, I could copy
Okay.
and paste it to the list. Yeah, just send me
Okay.
the URL then.
I will do that immediately once, or I'll do it tonight. I don't want to say immediately because again, there's family time after this.
Karen, I'm back.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ricuro.
we
The
extended
appeal
by
from the
2
ruling of the
hours,
chair,
Omar.
I just wanted to update him, was sustained. Then we immediately adjourned. Thursday, we will be starting right up where we left off with Mr. Taylor's amendment. I want to answer a point of.
There was a
inquiry.
motion to extend for 5 minutes by Gary Ofstad, but it was
It
voted
failed.
down.
Yeah, you'll have the recording as well. And Mr. Brown filled in for you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown, if he's still here.
Madam Chair,
I
did you
just
stop
want-
the recording?
Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you for reminding me.